Hey everyone, and welcome to the next edition of the Snapchat. Today I'm joined by a very special guest, someone that I had been looking forward to having on the Snapchat for the longest time. Someone who operates completely different than me in the Marvel Snap space because they do the math. You guys know me, I don't do math, but LAURENWHATEVS does. Lauren, it is great to have you on the Snapchat. How are you today?
Oh my gosh, I'm doing great, and it is awesome to be on the Snapchat. I've been watching this since before I started content creation.
No way. Okay, that's actually pretty cool. So I like to always ask this for new guests that have been on the Snapchat for the first time. So first of all, what got you into Marvel Snap in the first place? What was that thing that you're like, I'm going to install this game and I'm going to play this game. And then all of a sudden you're like, damn, I got to make content for this game. I love it. So what was that kind of inspirational moment that got you fully into Marvel Snap?
Yeah, there were two things. One was I had seen it in the App Store, and early days they were talking about all the variants you could collect, and they showed pixel art variant, and I love pixel art, and I was kind of like, that's cool. I didn't get the game then, but like it was on my radar at that point. And then I was listening to the Adventure Zone or My Brother and Me, one of those with the McElroy boys, and they talked about how their dad was really into Marvel Snap lately, and I was like, is that one game? And I checked it out and fell in love with it instantly.
That's awesome. And that's really interesting to hear because so there's a bunch of creators that didn't actually start on the onset, right? Like I was in the early beta, and so like I kind of had a bit of a head start with the decks, with the cards, and kind of getting more familiar with the game. And even me, I felt like I kind of had a late launch because I joke about this all the time. I had actually applied as a content creator at the very onset of Marvel Snap, and they ghosted me. They're like, nah, bro. Like, we don't need you, or we don't want you there, right? I don't know. They didn't actually respond to me. They didn't say like, yeah, you suck, bro. But like, I just got ghosted, right? And then I got in, and then like everyone else got in, like as you know, they were kind of invited privately and stuff like that. And I was like just watching from the window, you know, like that SpongeBob meme, right? That was me. And then I just kind of got in with like as anyone else in the world would get in, right? And at the time I was making Dota 2 content, and I fell in love with the game, like the actual gameplay. Like, it's kind of interesting what draws you in because the art's amazing too. But for me, like, I don't actually buy lots of variants and stuff like that. The opening cinematics, I know like Harry Perry got fired up about like the cinematics that they were producing and the music video, the hero music video from Martin Garrix and all that stuff. It's so interesting to hear like what pulls people in because Marvel Snap does so much so well that like you can get pulled in by any number of fronts. And for me, it was like just the gameplay that was so fun. And I remember just telling my wife, I'm like, yeah, like I make Dota content, but like I've never had more fun playing a game than Marvel Snap. Like even if no one watches me, and even if I only go to like 2 viewers on Twitch, like I'm gonna play Snap because this is like, it doesn't feel like work to me. And the rest is history, I guess. So that is super fascinating. And talking about that too, it's not just about the content. You actually have some new plans in Marvel Snap land. Would you like to fill us in on what you've been working on?
Yeah, I've teamed up with Scott Denham from Snap.fan. We are working on a website that is going to be it's just like our home for wherever any kind of content we want without having to have it approved by the site owner or an editor or of anything like that. Just have that kind of free reign. I do a lot of free content on Twitter, and I would much rather put it in a place that's not a hellscape. So our goal is 2 weeks. I think that's ambitious, but Scott thinks it's doable. In a couple weeks, we're going to launch a new Snap website called Fourth Location. All of my economy guides will be there. Scott puts out tons of decks and deck guides. Those will all be there. So be on the lookout. Watch my socials for the official Fourth Location debut.
Awesome. And we'll have all of Lauren's socials linked down below so you can follow along. And I'm actually looking forward to that because I actually think you build some of the best content on the planet right now. Because as I said, it's polar opposite to what I do. Like you do the number crunching, and I think that's phenomenal, right? And so I really appreciate that. I'm looking forward to the site. And but I mean, listen, I think it's about time we talk about some Marvel Snap cards because there are a whole lot of Marvel Snap cards that are coming out this month. And it's funny because just before we started recording, we kind of had like a little banter. I'm like, I think there's some serious hits here, but I also think there might be some misses. It's going to be a bit of a wild month. I think there's going to be some wild swings in power. So, well, Laura and I are going to break them all down for you right now. And we're going to start with the Season Pass card. This is Weapon X. Weapon X is a 2/2 that reads, after one of your other cards is destroyed, +1 power. After every third time, improve this effect by 1. A little bit of a typo on the screen there. But long story short, this is a destroy-centric card. Makes sense. It's essentially Wolverine. Okay, hold on. I haven't read the comics yet about Weapon X. So if I'm calling it Wolverine and I'm not like canonically correct, I do apologize. But
in the data mines, he's called Weapon X Wolverine. So I think you're right.
Okay. See, I'm trying to catch up. I'm actually doing some reading on our Alpha Flight member we'll be talking about later. So I'm trying to catch up with the lore. I promise I am. But Lauren, I'll give you the floor here on Weapon X, which is the premium season pass card. What do you think?
Oh, I think it's such a weird season pass card. Like, Wolverine makes sense, right? A character that everybody recognizes, like, makes sense to sell another one of those. But it's such a niche ability. I think it's supposed to be a new deck type, or kind of like that Death Mockingbird thing. Because you have to get a lot of destroys to make this work. And I don't know if he's good enough to make that deck like... to make that deck a real deck. He gets very, very big, right? And it's even okay that he's vulnerable to Shang and Shadow King, because, like, okay, they spent their tech card on my 2. But yeah, this is a strange card.
So it's fun to hear you say that, because I'm feeling the exact same way. First of all, I don't think that this is as plug and play into the destroy archetype as others may think it is. I think that you're removing some key things. Like, who do you actually take out from the destroy decks? Now, I know you think, well, I'll cook something wholly new, and I'm going to try, damn it, because I kind of want to bring back Zombie Captain Marvel this season. I think that she might actually have a chance to do something this season. But with Weapon X, the problem that I see is that you have a card that wants other cards to get destroyed, but not itself. And destroy, you have 6 turns, 7 if you want to play, Magic, or they play for you, which is ideal, I guess. You have 6 turns, you have to destroy things and use cards to destroy those things. You're going to run out of time to actually get this ramped up, because like if you cut Wolverine to add this card in, like, it's funny how like they kind of compete in the same segment, then you're just not destroying as many cards, because Wolverine wants to get munched on all the time, right? And then, like, okay, do you cut something like, the Moira X that's making some of these decks? I think Moira X might be better than Weapon X, because Moira X gives you the snap equity of, like, I got double death, or I got an extra null, or double venom, or whatever, right? Weapon X has a very face-up ability that your opponent can just read on, whereas, like, I don't think it's better than Moira X either. The power's there, the potential's there, but when I look at when the deck is kind of built, and when I look at, like, okay, what am I going to play day one? I'm like, I think this is just a worse version of Destroy. I'm not convinced it's a better version of Destroy. I want to be proven wrong. And if I'm not proven wrong, they're going to buff the card too, by the way. Just so you know, let's get ahead of that. If this card doesn't land, they buffing it, okay? But you understand what I'm saying, Lauren? Like, I feel like it's just not quite serving the purpose of advancing Destroy.
Yeah, I totally get it. And if you've got, like, X-23 or Wolverine out and they hop over to the Weapon X lane, like, guess you're just not going to hit them anymore because you don't want to take out your, like, scaler. Yeah, I mean, he really does get very big. If you get 9 destroys, and I know that's asking, like, a lot. That's a ton. You have to have some, like, Killmonger shenanigans to pull that off. But, he gets to, like, 220. So it seems like he's definitely an upgrade for that deck that's destroy as many things as possible. But I just, like, I don't know if he's a good enough upgrade for that deck.
I had this thought of, like, okay, so the first day cards come out. A lot of people, they really try to fixate on, like, how can I make this thing shine, right? And they go all in on Weapon X. I'm not convinced Weapon X is, like, the carry card. Like, it might be a supporting character, but at the same time, it might be able to carry. And one of the places I wanted to take it from a deck building perspective was I kind of wanted to say, okay, you brought up Killmonger, and I think Killmonger's actually, like, the MVP for this card. Like, it's what this card needs. And, like, can we do, like, a Squirrel Girl, Moira X, Killmonger style thing where you're trying to, like, Moon Girl the deaths or something like that, or even Moon Girl. I mean, you can't even Moon Girl Weapon X because it's not an ongoing ability. It has to be on the field of play to be getting the numbers anyways, right? But I'm trying to figure out, like, okay, we used to do, like, Killmonger, Squirrel Girl type stuff in order to activate the likes of death. Could a Moon Girl style deck work like that, or are we just trying too hard to make a card work? You know what I mean?
Yeah, and I think that's totally where we should be exploring. Like, this has to be a unique flavor of Destroy. And something like get Shauna going or Squirrel Girl, like that does seem like the right way to do this. You could always misery your Killmonger to get it like another blast of kills out. So I think it's going to be possible, and Weapon X will get very big sometimes. It just goes back to like, if we're doing Moon Girl stuff, like, is there any way that can compete with Standard Destroy?
Yeah, exactly. And the other thing about Standard Destroy too is that you've already had a nerf to X-23, so that, in my opinion, has hurt Null quite a bit, because that little incremental power increase does impact Null, especially if you ever plant a Zolit or something like that, because it double dips on that power. But now if you put Weapon X in for Wolverine, like say you cut Wolverine, now you have a nerfed X-23, Wolverine's out of the mix. So do you actually cut Null from this deck? Because what's Null doing if you're not actually generating as many consistent destroys, right? Yes, you might be destroying a bunch of squirrels or something to kind of get that Weapon X effect happening, but you're not putting numbers up on destroy the way, like, you know, hitting a Wolverine lane would over time. So that's kind of one of the things I've been thinking about. And I guess the other place that we have to talk about too is, like, you could consider like a Firehair Misery style deck too, where you're popping off on hoods or something like that. But again, I don't know if you can destroy quite enough here to make it worth it. Because I was thinking, okay, let's say you do like a turn 1 hood, turn 2 Weapon X, turn 3 you do like a Shauna, and then turn 4 you do like X-23 or something into Killmonger. You know, you're going to, maybe your Shauna brings out Ice Men's and stuff like that, and you actually do a little bit of disruption while wiping everything out, but you actually don't have much power on the board. You know what I mean? You're kind of shooting yourself in the foot. So I wonder about whether or not this card is in fact good enough as it stands. I think the scaling's interesting. Obviously would have been way better as an ongoing, because like, I always get them confused. Morbius is a ongoing. So it doesn't matter what's happening on the board. You don't need Morbius on the board and then discarding things. You can hold them for turn 6 if you want. Morbius loves that. This card does not do what Morbius does. It has to be on the field of play. And for that reason, I feel like it might be a little wonkier.
Yeah, and like, it's a very weak late draw, right? You don't want this out there. If it's only going to see a few kills, it's going to be 2/5 or smaller. The other thing I've thought about doing with Weapon X, are you familiar with like the Reddit deck that does like Blink and Galactus and Ultron? I can't remember everything that's in that deck, but that's the deck that I'm like, I wonder if you can fit Weapon X in here. You get out an Ultron early and then Killmonger all the drones. That's actually a pretty good hit.
That is interesting.
And then you get cheap death.
That is kind of interesting. I'm familiar with the deck you're referring to. I have not actually played it in the longest time. But I can see that potentially working. Turns of star rating, I'm going to say that I'm in about the 3 range, and it's not like an optimistic 3. If I could say 2.5, I would. I don't think it's a 2. I think it's better than that, because it's going to have that scaling ability. It does scale very well. And I bet you somebody somewhere is going to crack the code on it. But like, I don't know. I'm just not sold on this particular card. The way I'm sold on some of the others, it's a very unenthusiastic 3 for me.
I think I'm at 3 also. Like, it's going to be strong in its deck, but its deck is not very good.
Yeah. And that is the Season Pass card, which is going to take us to the Premium Season Pass card. It's actually a skill. The art isn't indicative of it being a skill, but it's a 4-cost skill, which is actually a very expensive skill. It might actually be the most expensive skill. I think Images of Icon is also a 4. So, and that is an insanely powerful skill. So we have the Adamantium Infusion, which is a 4-costed skill that reads, on reveal, revive your highest power destroyed card here with its power doubled. Lauren, I'll give you the floor. What do you think of the new skill, Adamantium Infusion?
All right. I've seen people hesitant about a 4-cost skill, and I am not worried about that the same way I'm worried about a 4-cost activate. It's fine if it leaves the board, if it's doing something big enough. And having targeted revival and doubling of that card is a very strong thing to do. It is a question of the timing, right? Like, is this going to be more like an elixir where it's kind of awkward to find the right timing with it? Or can it be Phoenix Forcey? And to me, it seems more like that. It seems that you're trading off the move of Phoenix Force to get double power, and there are plenty of decks that will like that. Nimrod comes to mind first. How about you?
Yeah, so it's funny you mentioned Nimrod because the Nimrod Fallen One Black Panther Zola deck is, I think, where I'm going to kind of bring this. I think it makes the most sense for that particular shell, and I actually do really like that. I have low-key been an enjoyer of Fallen One. I know this is a bit of a hot take, but I kind of like it. And I feel like a lot of people, because they don't see it often, they don't expect what you can do with Black Panther Zola on that final turn if you get the pop-off on it. But with Adamantium Infusion, it's expensive. But in this game of Marvel Snap, there have been two things that have been so consistent. One, anything that gives +3 power is usually broken. And two, anything that doubles power is usually broken. Those have been like kind of the consistents, right? And this is a card that doubles power. Yes, you're doubling a highest power destroyed card, but it has a little bit of targetability. You know what you're bringing back, and you're getting its power doubled, which is very significant. So ultimately, I'm of the mindset where like I kind of want to come in at a 3 here, but this would not surprise me if it ends up hitting like 4.5 territory. I like other cards better this season, but this is one of those cards that I think is going to find a place. I think it'll feel bad for the first couple days, and then like 3 weeks later, there's going to be this one deck that shows up where it feels unfair, and Adamantium Infusion is going to be one of the key linchpin cards that makes the interaction unfair. It's just a matter of getting there. I think this is a bit of a deck building challenge. I'm going to go into, the Black Panther Zola combination style decks to see what I can come up with, but it wouldn't surprise me if something wholly new takes this card to the next level.
I am a high 4 for this one. I can see the hesitation to call it a 5, but I'm sure that this is going to find a home. It's okay if you play it on turn 6, right? With the Nimrod stuff, you can do Carnage or another card we'll be talking about later, Fastball Special. Play both of them on the same turn, and there's just cool things you can do with that. If you could pull off, like you were talking about Panther Zola, what if you do Zola Adamantium Infusion? Like, split the card up and then you revive it the next, on the same turn. It's just, there's gonna be for sure big things that you can do with this. Doubling is so strong.
And the key thing about this too, and I believe I read this, in one of the creator chats we had, someone asked the question. I don't remember where I see it. I read too much stuff, but I believe it will reproc on reveals. So it means, if you bring back the Black Panther, it'll do its on reveal again, which I think is really beneficial, obviously, especially when you're doubling power, right? So you're kind of double dipping. So you're right. You can Zola the Black Panther and then Adamantium Infusion and bring it back, because technically the destroyed version of Black Panther is still hovering in limbo while the two replications have occurred, right? So I do think Zola is going to be like the card for Adamantium Infusion. I'm just not quite sure where it's going to kind of come into play. And there is a chance, like you did mention Phoenix Force on the onset. Phoenix Force does some interesting stuff too. I think there's a couple potential Phoenix Force cards this month. I'm not sure if Adamantium Infusion's the one, but still it's a tool. I just don't know. I can see it being probably more played in the Nimrod, Black Panther, Zola style stuff, but I want to be wrong. I want to see some really cool stuff. This is going to be the super premium season pass card, by the way. So you have the Weapon X as the premium. This is a super premium. So this is like the extra, it's like the $20 USD you get or whatever. So that's going to be the upper echelon of the season pass. But that's not the only card coming out on that day, because on that day, we also get Chamber. This is December 2nd. Chamber is a 2/3 that reads, activate +2 power for each 5 cost or higher card you have here and in hand. So checking both the location and your hand. It's a 2/3. He has a Beard of Fire. It's an activate. And Lauren, once again, I'll give you the floor. What do you think about Chamber?
Oh, I think this card looks cool. It looks explosive, both if you look at the art or read the text. It makes you dream of, what's this deck where I can play tons of expensive cards? But I just don't think it fits in that deck, right? Like, the sort of decks that we have like that are big ramp decks or like Hella. And I don't think this really makes a lot of sense in either. Even if you do get, if you get him to hit 3 or 4, he's like a 2/9, 2/11. That's big, but we're gonna see other 2 cost cards that are comparable without that huge deck building cost. So I'm not a big fan of Chamber, actually.
Okay. So it's kind of funny that you said that, because I was thinking about this before we recorded and I was doing all my notes and stuff. And like, I'm so ho-hum on these cards. I'm ho-hum on this one too. Even though I think it's a ramp card, I like ramp, and it's a playstyle that I wish I interacted with more. But like, we have a lot of 2-costed cards this season that like you can make the argument of getting to like almost 10 power. And for some reason, we're like ho-hum on it. And I can just picture like Glenn and the designers being like, what do you want? Like, what do you want from a 2-drop that gets to like 9 power? Like, what is wrong? So it's like kind of funny that we're so ho-hum on these cards that could potentially put up some serious power, right? But I'm kind of with you on Chamber. Like, I'm at 3 stars, which, I mean, it's been consistent 3 stars for me, even though I think that like Adamantium Infusion is better than Chamber and better than Weapon X. I'm going to tell you that with Chamber, I like the idea that it's like an easy 2/7, really. Turn 2 is often a turn as well that you can just like, you can commit to playing something. You can commit to something like, you know, actually, most ramp shells might want to play something like a Penny Parker, but realistically, you can play Chamber there, right? And for me, it's like, all right, to get to 2/9's kind of straightforward here. Like, it's really not that hard. And what if, I know this is a little bit of cope, we got to cope sometimes. I was thinking like, okay, what if I make a deck with like Isan, Nick Fury? Because the cool thing about this is that if you Nick Fury, that's a ton of power in the hand that Chamber loves. You're also ramping, so you get to play those cards too, even though he's a 4-cost, which is kind of weird. But what I'll say is that Isan will pull at the end of the turn, which means that Chamber will activate before that. It'll get the +2 for the stuff in the hand, and then Isan's going to pull stuff down, which could potentially be a pretty interesting play. But you're adding random garbage, and it can pull a Destroyer down and wipe your board. So it's like, I'm not exactly sure if I want to play that style deck, even though right now we do have some decks that are running like, you know, the Lockjaw, Jubilee style stuff with Blink. Like, that stuff is really cool. It's unfortunate it's War Machine, but if we take that general shell and we put it more into a ramp archetype, could it be potentially good, and could Chamber fit in that?
I can see that. And I think it's interesting to think about, like, what decks can he upgrade or enable? You know, he's a 2-cost scaler. Like, I don't think he's an enabler as much as he is just like a small upgrade to a deck. But I really wonder, like, what are you cutting? You talked about Penny. It's like, you don't want to cut Penny. He reminds me a lot of Weapon X, where it's like, he's got a super niche home. He's super face up. I don't like. He has a place, but it's a small place and not a very good one. If I give anything a 1, I think he's my worst card of the season.
You're giving Chamber a 1? Oh man, I think it's not great, but I don't think it's awful. I think that like if you want to cope, you can play it. I think it'll put numbers that like warrant its inclusion in decks. But the problem that we have in Snap is that there's 12 card slots. And so if you're going to be committing to 12 cards, this has to be better than one of the 12. And I don't know if it'll consistently be that, right?
Yeah. One thing I think is worth mentioning, skipping ahead to January, we have a few dragons that like it if you play small cards and big cards, and Chamber fits that play style where you've got a mix of small cards and big cards. Maybe he gets better then.
Listen, I've had so many conversations with people that are like, hey, it might get better in the future. And it's true, it just might. But we have like 2 examples of that. We have Elixir, which was like, it's going to get better in the future. And it's just like, Elixir kind of still sucks, right? But then you get Prodigy, right? Where Prodigy on release feels totally sus. And then all of a sudden, Prodigy is literally in the best deck in the game, and it's breaking everything, and everyone's wondering if Prodigy's interactions are broken, actually legitimately bugs. You know what I mean? Like, that Invisible Woman Prodigy stuff seems like it's a couple extra turns. I don't know if that's supposed to be working that way. But it's kind of funny to think that, like, is Chamber that exact card? Like, does it make much more sense in January where you get, like, those dragons and stuff like that? It's entirely possible. So, Chamber not inspiring a lot of confidence. 3 for me. And again, a little bit of an unenthusiastic 3 for me. Lauren all the way down to a 1. That's an absolute kick in the pantaloons. But listen, there's got to be some love for Weapon X. There's no way you're giving Weapon X a 1, because I think this card is really good. Not insane, but potentially very good. It is a 7-cost, 14-power card that reads, when discarded, put this back with -2 cost. So imagine Scar for discard. That's what you've got. Lauren, I'll give you the floor. What do you think about Weapon H?
Okay, here's another one who is very flashy, like Chamber, right? If we look at the art, we look at the stats, we look at the text. But I think mostly Weapon H can live up to that. I do think it's a little bit of a trap, like, hey, look at these huge numbers. Don't you want to play this? And it's like, well, like Khonshu's comparable. Can't work with Hela because you're never like moving it to your discard pile. The first place that I thought of for it was Black Knight. I think that it's a really good hit there, and then you can realistically play the 414 blade and a 5 or even cheaper Weapon H. What about you? What are you thinking about?
I'm thinking about how I didn't think about Black Knight, and now I feel ashamed of myself because that's genius. That Black Knight's perfect. I was thinking about, okay, where my head went was like, can this replace Khonshu in dependable discard? And I was thinking about what like Chavez used to do for discard. But now you got me completely thinking about Black Knight, because I think you're right. Even if you don't discount anything further, you have a perfect curve with a 14 power blade, a 14 power Weapon H, and then whatever the hell you want to do on turn 6. I think you're cooking here.
All right. Well, I mean, Black Knight could use it probably.
Yeah, Black Knight was like one of those cards I think took a bit of a stray, because it was actually fun. What was it that killed Black Knight? It came back with Hela. It came back with Hela Redshift for a while, right? There was versions of Hela Redshift that ran Black Knight, and then something
not a bad
happened
hit with Agatha.
Yes. Oh no, it was Agatha. That's right. It was Agatha, because you'd consistently hit Agatha with that's right. That's where it was. I'm not sure what happened to the meta where it got completely just taken out, but that was the last time I saw it. Is it time that Black Knight comes back?
Yeah, I mean, maybe part of what happened with Black Knight is people are trying to do cute things with Infinite, and then you get the 420 blade, and you have to Ghost Rider or Hela to get Infinite back. This is a trade-off, right? You get 14 power instead of 20 power, but this seems easier to pull off to me than getting Infinite back to your board.
Yeah, and the other thing I want to mention here is that like I like Khonshu. I think Khonshu is good. Obviously, Khonshu is a Golden Gauntlet winning deck. If you just take Khonshu out and you put Weapon H in, seriously, I think the deck still kind of works. And I think you can get a little more aggressive too, because you can even, like, some of the Khonshu decks don't run Gambit. I think you can run Gambit because now you have a very, like, you want to hit this. You want to discard this while trading something on their board, right? I think that this deck alongside, like, your classic Proxima Midnight discard MODOK style list with Dracula and Apocalypse is absolutely fine. Because one of the things you can do here is if you can discount this enough, right, you might be able to play this alongside, you know, Dracula on turn 6 or whatever, right? If things don't quite go your way. So I do really like this deck, this card specifically. And actually when it's discarded, it'll go to the right because that's what discard does. It'll compete and step on Apocalypse's toes a little bit. But the fact that it's being discounted and it'll always generally be cheaper than Apocalypse given that you're discarding things, I think you'll be able to sneak it into the curve. And it might be able to, like, give you answers on, say, turn 5 where you're like, damn, I didn't draw my MODOK, but I want to play something legit here. You can play Weapon H, right? And if you're Dracula sitting on board and you top deck your MODOK going into turn 6 with Apocalypse in your hand, you're still laughing. You know what I mean? So I do think that this card could potentially be very good. I don't know. I have a 4-star rating for it. I see it having a very solid floor, a relatively good ceiling. I think this is a good card. If you're a discard enjoyer, I can absolutely see this being in your deck. I don't feel like you have to do much for this card to be good. It's doing exactly what discard wants to do. You're discarding cards. So I feel like this is a relatively low risk, solid option this season.
Yeah, he's a 4 for me too. And I really like your call with the Apocalypse Dracula deck. I think he actually can replace Khonshu. He's the easier version of the deck, right? Like, Khonshu is higher roll because there's a possibility that you're getting Khonshu for 12 plus whatever he revives for 12. But this is like, you're fine if you hit this 3 times, right? Whereas Khonshu's gone if you hit him 3 times. So this is like the safer, easier version of the deck.
Yeah, Khonshu might have higher upside here and there, I think, because obviously that extra power you're bringing back. But it's so funny to think how, like, I still wonder if there's still a better version of Khonshu out there that's not seeing play. Like, you got the first Ghost Rider, the Gores, the Iron Mans. Like, we try to experiment with that at the start, then we kind of just let it slide. But I still think that, like, those are obvious, incredible targets for something like Khonshu. But it just so happens that bringing back a massive Dracula is just fine, or bringing back a massive Morbius is just fine, or whatever, right? And it's kind of funny how that works sometimes. It actually goes to show that sometimes when you overcook, sometimes the more obvious best things are just sitting right there in front of you on your plate, right? So Weapon H getting good reviews from us overall. As we move on to a card, Lauren, I got to tell you, if there's any card that's going to get me sweaty this season, it's this one here. There's 2 cards that really stand out for me. There's actually 3. I think we're okay. I think we're kind of past the questionable cards. I think Weapon H was the start of like, okay, now we're cooking. Maverick is a 3/3. So we're already surfing. You guys know that already about me. It's a 3/3, and it reads, activate. Give the next card you play power equal to this card's power. Yes, I'm in love with Maverick. And it's not because he's Studley. It's because he is a damn good card that's going to go into one of my absolute favorite archetypes in Marvel Snap. I'm playing this in Surfer. I don't even care if everyone's like, guys, it's going to be better somewhere else. It's going to be better here or there. I'm playing it in Surfer. None of you can stop me. This is a fantastic card. I'm going to give this a 5-star because I think it's that good. There's another card that I think is also very good, but this might be the card I'm most excited for this season because I think it's going to rejuvenate Surfer. It's going to take one of those things, those clear, boom. What are those called? Defibrillators? The thing you kind of shake with the...
Yep.
Yeah, this is the defibrillator for Silver Surfer. But Lauren, what do you think about Maverick?
Okay, I'm allowed to give out 1 5-star, right?
You can give as many as you want because I actually have 2 written down.
Okay. I don't know if I'm there for Maverick, but yes, definitely a Surfer card. And in the kind of Surfer that loves buffing, it's just hitting a critical mass of cards that can give buffs and cards that want buffs, right? Like Brood is the obvious hit for this, but also if you hit Shaw or Captain Carter, you are not upset about that at all. I want to shout out one of my podcast co-hosts, Ben Roller, who took a Surfer buff deck to like top 40 something in the final Golden Gauntlet, and he runs America Chavez in Surfer, and he's a strong believer in that because there's so many good hits in the deck. And I think this adds another good hit, right? Like if you get Maverick, he just passes that buff forward. Who doesn't want to give +6 to your Carter or +6 to your Brood? So yeah, this is a nasty card with a lot of potential.
It is, and I think that this is one of the examples too where activate might be a superpower because you can activate and like you can kind of cue your final turn. So if let's say you're still playing Sarah, you can play something like Sebastian Shaw and then activate Maverick, Brood, Surfer, or whatever, right? Or if you're like, I need to go more vertical with Sebastian Shaw, you activate Shaw, Brood, Surfer. Like it gives you a little bit of like agency as to how you apply that power. But most importantly here, I think there's just so many options. Chavez is a beauty. Again, anytime you're doing +3 to something, it's a nice thing, right? Chavez does exactly that. And Chavez traditionally has always been one of my favorite cards in Snap. But like traditional Chavez, I miss her. I miss 6'9" Chavez, right? I get why Glenn was like, no, she's got to go. But Glenn, come on, man. Bring her back for some game mode where it's like the OGs of Snap. Just bring back Broken Shuri, bring back Broken Chavez. But like even something as simple as like you forge into this card, that's already huge real estate because usually you're like, well, I want to forge Brood or I want to forge Shaw. Well, this just locks in forge. Like if you forge and then you're like, well, I didn't top deck Shaw or Brood, but I got Maverick. Maverick just like, hey, forge, don't worry, I got you. I'll pass it on, baby, no problem. You know what I mean? He just sends the love forward, which is beautiful. I think this makes forge way better. And also, you don't have to play this on 3. If you Gwenpool and then play this on 5, that's absolutely fine. If you Galacta and then play this on 5, that's absolutely fine. Because again, you're paying that power forward. And Sarah has been less often played in Surfer, but Galacta and Gwenpool are still there. They ain't getting cut. So I just don't see how this underperforms. I think this might be, and again, I'm only fixating on Surfer. I know it could go in other decks. There's other buff style decks that want to see it. I don't even see those. I see Surfer. You know I'm going to be playing Surfer the whole time. I'm only going to show up one deck this week. I usually come with like 5. This week, it's 1. It's going to be Surfer. I'm going to be playing Maverick Surfer. So what is your final star rating? I'm going 5 here. I'm too excited about it. I love Maverick. It's going to be niche, but I think it's going to be really good for Surfer, so I'm giving it 5. It's one of the ones I'm most excited about. But Lauren, what's your star rating?
Yeah, I think I gotta go 4 because it is very strong in Surfer, but it's a specific flavor of Surfer. And then I think there's really cute things you can do with it in like combo decks, but cute doesn't win games. It just makes cool clips. So I'm very hesitant about Maverick's performance outside of Surfer.
That's absolutely fair. And I like that you kind of stuck to your guns. Like, I'm hyping him up so hard. You know, like, you got it. And you're like, no, Alex, calm down. Calm down. He's still just a 4. Like, relax, bro. Because I actually kind of agree with you. Just a 4. Because I have 5. I told you, I have 2 5s written down. And I was telling myself, because you're right, we do traditionally only do 1 5 cost, or 1 5-star rating. But I wrote both as 5, and I was like, you know what? While we're talking, I'll decide which one's which. But I haven't yet decided. Because while Maverick stole my heart because it's a Surfer card, Aurora steals my heart because it is Alpha Flight. It is the Canadian Avengers. Aurora, a 6/6 that reads, on reveal, give one of your other on reveal cards at each location +2 power. Repeat for ongoing, activate, and end of turn. It's a mouthful. It's kind of confusing, but this is going to be a card that I think is going to be very good in one very particular archetype. I don't want to steal your thunder, Lauren, so I'm going to let you get first dibs on this because I think there's a very obvious archetype where Aurora is going to, once again, get those defibrillators and it's going to resurrect someone. Who do you think it is?
Oh, gosh.
I put you on the spot.
I'm so interested in which deck you think this is going to revive. Okay. Yeah, I mean, some decks I've thought of for her don't need revival, like zombies, but I don't think that needs help.
No, zombies is actually really good. So zombies got revived with a bunch of buffs during the season pass. That's what happened there. It's the Mad Titan. It's Thanos.
Yes.
I think Thanos is going to love Aurora because so many of the stones have multiple of these effects. And the stones are like often sitting on your board. And we've even gone as far as being like, yo, we got to like, we've lived a life where we're destroying the stones because we're trying to create space. We've lived a life where we're spectruming the stones because there's enough ongoings. We've lived so many different versions of Thanos. And Thanos is inevitable. He always comes back. If you think Thanos isn't good, you are kind of correct, but it's going to come back when Aurora comes back because he's also going to be a variant. From my understanding, he's a variant in the Grand Arena. So if you don't have him yet, you'll be able to pull him from the Grand Arena, and then you can get Aurora, and she is going to elevate that archetype. I think this is a Thanos card, completely 100%. In fact, much like Maverick, I might only show up with one deck this week, and it's going to be a Thanos deck because I think that it is so just bounce, baseball, swoosh, 3-point. I don't know. I don't play baseball. Aurora is going to be in Thanos. That's my personal opinion.
I love the Thanos call out. I should have said it. It was the other deck I was thinking about, but I was like, does it need revival? I called it out on my podcast. If you don't believe me, you can go listen. So Thanos is in mind. And those two, zombies and Thanos, are the ones that have the most common cards that have dual abilities, right? The zombie Mr. Fantastic being the other one who's on reveal and an activate. I think Aurora's really interesting. I think she's very easy to compare to Spectrum. You know, besides her art, her ability is very Spectrum-y. But I think when we're trying to think about her power, it's better to think about Doom. Like, can you beat +5 in the other lanes? And that means that she needs to get 3 hits. Granted, she doesn't have the space issue that Doom has. She only needs to take up 1 space on your board. And that's better for Thanos, right? Thanos doesn't have room for Doom bots. So I think she's a super fun card. She's a 5 in my heart, but and she's a very interesting deck building puzzle, which is something that's always fun. I worry that people are just going to solve her, and then that's the Aurora deck. But I hope that there are multiple flavors. So I'm gonna give her a 4.
You're breaking my heart. All my 5s being counteracted with 4s, but I totally understand what you're saying because they're going to be one. I don't want to say she's a one trick. I don't think she's a one trick. I think she might look like a one trick for the first 2 weeks. You know what I mean? I think it's exactly what you're saying. Me and everyone else, we're going to show up with these Thanos decks, and it's going to be Thanos mirror matches like crazy on Aurora week. And then someone somewhere is going to cook something. That's the hope because I like this card's design. But one of the challenges you have, and one of the reasons why I think that Thanos works really well here, is because Aurora is still just a 6/6. Like, she doesn't have the power to stand on her own. She needs a supporting cast. And I think that Doom is an apt comparison because Doom is also adding his Doom bots. He's adding value to the board in a way, and he's adding things that weren't there before. Whereas Aurora needs that existing, like those bodies on the board. She needs those things there, right? So she can't stand alone the way Doom does. I'm just kind of repeating what you said now that I think about it. But but I totally understand what you're saying though, and that's kind of what I think might niche down Aurora. But I think she's a really, really good card. And I think that Glenn and the design team have done a really good job. And I've said this before, I think that one of the targets, and I don't know this for a fact, but I believe it to be true, is that they're trying to make more archetypes in Marvel Snap playable. And I think that they figure, the more archetypes that are generally playable in Marvel Snap, the more fresh the meta will feel. Like if Toxic has a playable version, if Thanos has a playable version, if Move has a playable version, and like et cetera, Surfer, for example, Destroy, which got a ton of power infusions, Move got a ton of power infusions as well. I think that if Thanos is kind of looking on the outside, is on the outside looking in, I should say, then Aurora might just be what we need to bring it back. I'm personally excited for Aurora, but I can see perhaps the hesitation. Although this next card, we're talking about beauties, absolute beauties, coming on December 30th, just before the new year, just before we ring in 2026, Fantomex, who I had never heard of before, but he's wearing an X-Men belt. I'm not entirely sure. I think that's an X-Men belt, or is that just a belt with an X on it?
Looks like
it. It certainly does look like it. Fantomex is a 4/6 that reads, activate. If you've had cards discarded and destroyed, afflict front row enemy cards at each location with -2 power. The entire front row of the enemy location with -2 power. And this is an activate, which can wait till the end of the game to do this. Your opponents are likely to fill up front rows. I mean, I hate to tell you, you kind of have to. You can't just choose to play the back row, right? So, Lauren, I'll give you the floor here. What are your initial impressions on Fantomex?
Okay. Well, this is the first of, I think, 3 cards this season. We haven't seen the other 2 yet, that are asking you to make this destroy discard hybrid deck. Something that is technically possible now, right? You have like Dawkin, Wolverine, X-23, but like it's not enough to justify the hybrid. This is a huge ability, and maybe huge enough to justify being a 4-cost activate, and maybe huge enough to justify the weird hybrid deck. It's very exciting ability, but just gets absolutely shut down by Luke Cage, and it's gonna hold him back.
I know, but I don't think Luke Cage is as prevalent across all MMRs as compared to the top. So I feel like the average Marvel Snap player will probably have a relatively positive experience with Fantomex outside of the first week. First week, guys, if you pull him, you're like, yo, I'm excited, but don't even bother. Like, just put him away, play Maverick, because Fantomex is going to feel awful for the first week because everyone and their grandmother is going to play Luke Cage. And I mean, that's consistent with every card that's ever been released in Marvel Snap that's a Toxic card, because like Diamondback looked weird first week, and I'm like, yo, this card's amazing. People are like, oh, no, kind of feels crap. Well, of course it feels crap, because everyone's playing Luke Cage to the point that you have to play Rogue in your decks or else you're cooked. But then they just play Luke Cage on turn 6 anyways, because he's still just too damn cheap and has a board-wide effect. I'm not sure if Luke Cage is a problem or not, but I think he's getting close to it. But I do think that this card is really good, and it has a tremendous amount of power. Is it going to kind of take Affliction to the next level, though? I think Affliction is already really good. I think that like Toxic is already really good. Do you need another piece to it, right? Does this replace the Malekiths of that archetype?
Oh, I haven't even thought of it as an Affliction card. You're thinking of mixing it with like Ajax and Diamondback stuff?
Yeah, and I'm trying to figure out how, right? Because you have to destroy and discard something. So it's kind of tricky, but I think it's entirely possible.
All right.
But I'm not sure how. I haven't made this deck yet. Full disclosure.
That's asking for a lot of moving parts. That said, I don't think the get 1 destroy and get 1 discard, I don't think that's too hard. Like, you can just play a Blade or a Gambit on the last turn. You can have Black Cat in your deck and let her discard herself. Like, there's ways that you can get 1 easy discard and then be a destroy deck after that. I don't know if you're gonna pull off making Afflict a destroy deck.
It's true. I just had this idea. I'm like, maybe I get it out there, because even something small, like, like obviously I don't think this is an Ajax card, but like something like Diamondback might be able to sneak into a deck like this. right? Like even if only 2 cards are impacted, like Diamondback still munches on this and is played on
Diamondback
curve,
I could see.
right? Because you play Diamondback on 3, it's an ongoing card, so it doesn't really care. Fantomex on 4, Modoc your hand. I don't know. I gotta I gotta figure it out, right? I gotta still figure it out. But I think it's actually a really cool card. I think the condition is kind of fascinating. What I'm describing, I think, is probably a couple too many hoops. But I think that Fantomex is going to start to make more sense once we start talking about, like, I don't want to jump ahead too far, but like Wild Child, for instance, right? Which is going to want to kind of double dip in this effect. It's exactly what you discussed. It's entirely possible that with Fantomex and some of the cards we're going to speak about, we might have a whole new archetype of Marvel Snap born, like this destroy discard hybrid, which right now doesn't seem like it's particularly playable, but now we're getting some pieces, in particular Fantomex, which honestly, as a 4/6, I mean, you're the math person, 4/6, and then there's what? So there's 3 locations, 2, so negative 2, so each location's 4, so that's 12 extra power.
418.
6. It's huge. Yeah, that's like crazy. It's crazy amounts of power, right? Thank you for doing the math for me there. But yeah, so for me, I can see Fantomex being like a 4.5. I can see this being like an archetype defining card that's going to take some cooking and some brewing, but I'm actually excited for this one here. And I'm excited for the puzzle it's going to kind of bring. It's a December 30th card, guys. I don't have a deck prepared right now. The other ones I have more figured out. I figured I needed more time for this one here. And also, there's a good chance they actually OTA or patch some things to support it too. We've seen that before, where like they have a card late in the season, and then like an OTA before, they're like, wow, they just positioned this card to help, you know, a little bit. So we'll have to see where it goes. But what do you think in star rating, Lauren?
I mean, I'm getting tired of saying the same thing where it's like, it's a 4, it's strong in its archetype, but it's not a great archetype. I'm with you that Luke Cage isn't a problem at all MMRs, so maybe he's irrelevant for the casual player story. I do really think they need to figure out how to solve the Luke Cage problem. It's too strong for how many cards can do Affliction now to be just a 3 cost that is relatively free to throw into a deck. I think a 4. He plus Wild Child, who we'll talk about in a little bit, are like, they're the linchpins of this discard, destroy, new archetype. Every single one of those decks is going to use both of these cards.
Yeah, for sure. And I like how you're pretending like you haven't thrown some spice. Don't forget, you gave Chamber a 1. So you're throwing some spice out here. So I think it's okay that you stick around with the 4s, even though since that you've just given 4s the whole time. We did start with a 3 though with Weapon X, but yeah, it's very consistent on the 4 pattern. But honestly, I think that's probably by design. I bet you like the team's like, well, we don't want to break the game, but we don't want to release garbage either. They have to be good. And I bet you they read like 4s. I bet you that's their target. They're targeting the 4-star card, right? If it hits a 5, it might be too much. If it hits a 2, they underpowered it, right? So I think they're probably targeting for it. Yeah, exactly. And that is going to take us to our next topic of conversation, which is the Series 4 cards. Wade Wilson is next up, and he is a Series 4 card, and he reads, 2/2. When destroyed, replace this with a 1-cost card from your hand or deck with +1 power. I should also mention this is coming in Grand Arena, so you should be able to get this for free. That's cool. I like free cards. You should like free cards too. Lauren, I'll give you the floor here. I don't want to say anything too far because I feel like I often like cue your response a little bit. I don't want to tell you right off the rip that I think this card's kind of poo. But yeah, I think this card might be kind of poo. I'm not sure. I'm not sold on this one here. So if you're sold, I want you to sell me.
I'm sorry. I do not like this card.
Okay. So we're on the same page.
I've heard a few people be high on it. And it does some things that look good on paper, right? Like deck thinning, very good. Play a card for free, that saves you an energy. Plus, it's a 2/3. Once it's done its thing, that's average. But what are you cutting from your deck? This is not better than Wolverine. This is, by the time you get him out and destroyed, and he's pulling Deadpool, right? That's what he's supposed to be, right? Like Wade Wilson is Deadpool's identity. He's a Deadpool tutor. He pulls
that is
Deadpool out of your
massive
deck.
Spoiler territory right there.
Yeah. That's what they want you to think of this card. But Destroy lately has been running so many 1s. So it's like, are you building an old school Deadpool deck where he's one of the only ones? I don't know. I really don't see it with this card. He seems too slow to me.
Oh, 100% he does. Like we're talking about Weapon X, which is a better card than Wade Wilson is, without question. Weapon X is a better card than Wade Wilson, and we're talking about whether or not Weapon X can make those decks work. I don't think this card ever makes the shells as they exist, because like you'd have to cut Moira X. You don't want to bring Moira back +1 to destroy. Like, who cares about it? Yes, if you pull it from the deck, whatever. But like, I don't know if I love, and this sounds crazy because I know like it took a long time to get Angel to the point where it did this, but I don't know if I love the hand or the deck side of it. Because it's like, I'd rather just get the deck thin. You know what I mean? But like at the same time, it's like if you draw all your ones, then it's doing nothing. I'm not sure if I want it competing with what's in my hand. But with that being said, it is coming down on 2, probably destroyed on 3 or 4 or whatever. You're probably playing the 1-drops from your hand, right? If you're holding a Moira, you play your Moira. If you're holding Deadpool, you play your Deadpool. Or conversely, if you're holding Deadpool, you play your Headpool, play Wade Wilson, and then you destroy it and hope that you pull, right? Like, you can kind of control it to some degree, which I think is good. That's a lot of steps. And is that simply better than just destroying Deadpool early? You know what I mean? Just get it, carnage it on turn 2, right? Is that just simply better? You know what I mean?
Yes, I do. And that's exactly how I feel. It's just like, because he's targeting 1 costs, it is fairly manipulable. You can manipulatable. I'm not sure how that word works. Anyway, it's pretty easy to make sure that he's pulling from your deck if you limit the ones that are in your hand. The other thing you could do is if you destroy Deadpool and then him on the same turn, Deadpool goes back to your hand and then he pulls Deadpool right back out. So like, that's something, but like, that's asking for a lot of really careful sequencing and all that for a card that it just doesn't seem like it's worth the squeeze.
The thing that gives me pause was that Headpool, which looked good. I didn't think that Headpool was going to be as good as it was. Right, Headpool was really good, and also because it like the way it came back to your hand and the buffs and stuff like that. But like Headpool was a very legitimate power infusion into destroy. Moira was not necessarily a power infusion, but I think a snap equity infusion of power, because like, oh, you doubled death, that's easy snaps all day long, right? With Wade Wilson, I just don't see it. You are right though. When you sequence them and then you destroy them because you play Deadpool on 1, Wade Wilson 2, you carnage it or whatever, or you deathlock it. The way it'll go, Deadpool will go back, get pulled back down, and then you can just kind of do the thing again. It is good. It is worth something. But you're talking about drawing the cards in the right order, sequencing them right. It's like, do the stars have to align a little too much for Wade Wilson to be worth it? It does not stand alone from a power perspective. And I don't think it competes with Weapon X. I think Weapon X is strictly a better card. So is it fitting that this is the free card of one of the free cards of the month? Probably. I don't know if they felt like we probably can't sell this card, which is also unfortunate for Wade Wilson. He probably could have used a little bit of love there. But yeah, I'm on the low end. I'm giving this a 2-star rating.
It's a 2 for me also. I think it's playable. Like, you're not throwing if it's in your deck, but it's kind of just bad.
Honestly, I like playing cards that look like I'm throwing. You know what I mean? That's keeps my opponents on their toes a little bit.
Snap equity.
Yeah, I've been trying to play more Snow Guard. I'm just like, I like Snow Guard, and like it's just, I'm like, never mind, this card sucks. But I want to like Snow Guard, but like, a little bit of coping hadn't hurt nobody. The next card we're going to talk about here is going to be a Series 4. This is going to be a Series 4 traditional release on December 18th in the Snap Packs. This is Marrow. Marrow is a 2/3 that reads, when discarded or destroyed, randomly split -6 power among enemy cards. Starting to see the Affliction Shell, destroy Affliction. Look, another piece there. I'm just throwing it out there. What do you think about Morrow?
I mean, you're right that she justifies putting Diamond back in that deck if you're gonna do this in Fantomex. I don't think you destroy her ever. Like, that's not the right thing to do with her. Maybe in a pinch in the hybrid deck, if she's the only thing you can destroy, you're like, okay, fine. But discard is like, that's decent. It's comparable to Proxima Midnight, right? You discard it and she's a free 7 and Marrow is a free 6 if you discard her. She's playable, but like, I don't know. Seems not big enough also.
Seems like a 2 for me. That's kind of where I'm at. I'm at a 2-star as well. It just doesn't inspire much confidence. It's the weaker of these like kind of like multifaceted cards we're getting this season. I think there are clear bangers and clear kind of, I don't want to say losers, because it's not a loser. It's still kind of cool. I like the design and I like this hybrid style card, but it feels like it's just not quite enough. And at first I was thinking about how like it's randomly split, which means that like Hazmat is nice because if you're playing Ajax, it just blanket hits everything, right? This is randomly split. So you can't guarantee it's going to hit everything. However, it will, based on what I read here, if there's only one card, it's going to hit that one card 6 times, no?
I agree. Yeah.
Yeah, right? So that's also good. It gives you a little bit of versatility there. It almost reminds me of the original The Thing, the evil version of The Thing, where you could play it in a solo lane one-on-one and it would just triple hit the card in front of it. And now it only hits one card each time, which, I mean, I know I'm the only one playing Evo The Thing right now, but I'm just saying that was a change that happened. And this feels kind of similar to that. Star rating wise, as I said, I'm at a 2. I'm not that excited about Morrow. Where are you at star rating?
It's funny because I would have been a 2, but now I'm thinking about this destroy, discard, afflict hybrid deck that you have put out there, and I'm like, she goes there. Where previously I didn't think she went into anything.
So yeah, she's got something going for her, I guess.
Right. It's how real can that deck possibly be? A triple hybrid deck. Yeah, I think I gotta go 2 still, even if she does end up having a home somewhere.
Okay, that's good. I like how we're speedrunning, just agreeing with each other on some of these cards here. The next one is Fastball Special. This is a skill. Once again, the art is not very indicative of it being a skill, but this is a skill. It's a 2-cost skill, and it reads, on reveal, destroy your highest power card here to afflict an enemy card here with that much negative power. Bit wordy, sounds a little bit like a magic card. Some of the weighted words here are the words here, so double dipping on that there. Fastball Special. Lauren, what do you think?
This card has such good top-down design, which is like the theme first, right? You know from the comics or the cartoons, it's Colossus throwing Wolverine at an enemy. And it's like, that's what's happening here. You are destroying your highest power card to injure the enemy's card. It's so thematic. I kind of wish this was one of the first standalone skills we ever got, because it really tells you like what a skill card is. I love it. I'm sure it's strong. I wonder how strong, because it can only destroy one card, whereas decks that are running like Carnage, Venom, Deathlock, they want to destroy every card at the location. But maybe targeting the highest power is a good thing to do. You know, then you start thinking about pairing this with Revival, or maybe this is another way to hit Nimrod. There's no way that a 2-cost destroy card is, a 2-cost card that can do a destroy. There's no way that's not a good card.
Yeah, so I'm leaning in the 4 range because I do think this is a good card. It's also worth noting this is going to be in Team Clash, from my understanding, which is probably going to be a topic for another day, but a new type of game mode. That's kind of exciting. I can reveal that, right? That's public knowledge?
It's in the data mines.
So yeah, I think that this will be really good in Nimrod for sure. I think it does exactly what Nimrod wants to do. Destroy, propagates the Nimrods. Does it for super cheap too. It's another card that afflicts. You got more affliction here, right? So Diamondback comes up randomly once again, right? Those pieces are just coming together.
This is her season.
It's her season. It's Diamondback. So you thought it was like a seasonable Wolverine. No, it's seasonable Diamondback. But like for me, this is like, it's Nimrod. I want to play this in Nimrod. I want to see what this can do. I like the fact that it kind of double dips on the effect. I still would like to see a Nimrod version of this running. And again, I'm going to bring it up again. Zombie Captain Marvel. That's one of those cards which I feel like is probably underappreciated, but probably for good reason too, because it's so slow. But once we have a little more tools and the way you can kind of, if a card like this is so fast that I think it might be able to make up for how slow something like a Zombie Captain Marvel is, where you can chain the activate together with this on reveal to make some magic happen. But at the end of the day, I do think this is a fantastically thematic card. I think it's a fun one. What was your star rating? I don't think you said it out loud.
I haven't yet. I think I'm gonna go ahead and give out my 1-5 to Fastball Special. I do worry about it not being a mass destroyer, but like I feel so confident it's gonna have a home. There are tons of cards that you are happy to destroy. There's cool things you can do with this card.
No doubt cool. So what takes this from like a 4 to a 5 for you? Like, what's the thing that like elevates it to the next level?
The biggest thing is it's a 2-cost, right? Like that's something that you're just in short supply of in a destroy deck. You can do Kid Omega, we didn't talk about before, but I think is actually fantastic with Adamantium Infusion.
We don't like to bring up Kid Omega around here.
Yeah, right.
Those were dark times.
So Carnage then is the only way in the entire game, the only way to destroy a card with a 2 cost. Yeah, getting another one of those is huge.
So when you compare this here, Fastball Special, to Adamantium Infusion, do you think there's like the cost discrepancy is massive? It's literally half the cost. And with Adamantium Infusion, we were both like, this is going to be good. And you gave it a 4.5 range. You said like you like it, like upper 4s.
Yeah.
So how do you think they compare? So one of them is a super premium season pass card. One of them is potentially, I think it's going to be a free card. I'm not sure. We still don't quite know how it's going to be distributed in the new game mode, but it's entirely possible you're able to like accumulate points or get it somehow, I'm assuming. Fastball Special might be theoretically free. At the very least, we know it's a Series 4, so it's way cheaper. How do you compare the two, Adamantium Infusion and Fastball Special? Why would you take Fastball Special over Adamantium Infusion?
I mean, you could play them both in the same deck, even.
It's true.
But I just think Fastball Special seems more flexible, and there will be more destroy decks that want an extra destroy than there are destroy decks that want a revival. Like, reviving is a 2-step process, and destroying is just one. And there are plenty of cards that like being destroyed. And you get the afflictions, like you're not even that upset about the thing being destroyed. And if it's Wolverine, very good synergy with Wolverine, you do the damage and then your Wolverine comes right back. Like, I feel confident that this card is going to be good. And maybe they're comfortable putting a good free card there because they want people playing their brand new mode.
They probably do want people playing their brand new mode. I would imagine that being the case. I was just thinking to myself, like, you could also literally on turn 6 play them both, which is kind of funny.
Yeah.
I'm not sure which cards want to be
nasty.
Yeah, maybe, but like I'm not sure. Like, what do you want to destroy them, bring right back? Like,
you're gonna Shuri Nimrod.
Okay. Yeah, Shuri Nimrod.
And then you're gonna Fastball Special to do 12 affliction power and create 2 more Nimrods over there. And then Adamantium Infusion can put down a 24 power Nimrod anywhere you want.
And then you activate Zombie Captain Marvel.
And get even more of them.
Boom, we did it. We're cooking. Fastball Special, look forward to it because it's going to absolutely dominate. The last card we need to talk about today is the Wild Child, also part of the new game mode Team Clash. Series 4, it reads, well, it is a 2-1 that reads, ongoing, +4 power if you've discarded a card, +4 power if one of your cards has been destroyed. Kind of interesting here. You can double dip on both destroying a card and discarding a card, and you get +4 power once you've done those. It's also an ongoing card, which is a superpower because you can hold it in your hand and then slam it down. Wild Child starts as a 2-1, gets upwards of a 2-9. We're getting a lot of cards that approach 2-9. Like, we got a lot of 2, almost 10 power cards this season. Lauren, I'll give you the floor. What are your initial impressions on Wild Child?
I mean, I already said when we were talking about Fantomex that these two are definitely going in every single one of those hybrid decks. Question is, how good is that hybrid deck, right? And you don't play this in a non-hybrid. A 2-5 is fine, but it's not good enough, right? Like, you're not putting this in a pure destroy deck or a pure discard deck. But I think it's better than Fantomex, maybe. Like, it's obviously not as big, but like a guaranteed 2-9 that doesn't have the tempo problem of having to get it out in time in order to activate it. I'm like so tempted to give it a 5. I'm just reticent because the hybrid deck, I really worry about its reliability. But I think no, we only give out 1 5 per season, so I'll give it a 4. Yeah,
you can go 4.5.
Okay, 4.5. Yeah, 2-9 that you drop on the last turn is just a super strong thing to do.
It is. It is a really strong card, but I'm concerned about the hoops you got to jump through. And as you talked about a million times, we've literally, the theme of this video has been, is this hybrid deck that no one knows what it looks like yet, is it actually good? It seems as though they're trying to make it good, and it kind of reminds me of like Horde. How like we had Horde, we had Zombie Scarlet Witch come out, which was underpowered as it was. I was convinced that Giant Zombie Man was going to be good, or Zombie Giant Man, whatever the heck it's called, was going to be good, and it got buffed. The Horde got buffed all across the board. And it wasn't until the end where we got the Hunger, where things really started to shape up for that deck. It got buffed, it got the Hunger. Even Zombie Sentry was making those lists for the most part. It's kind of been cut lately. But like, With War Child, I think that we're going to see over the course of a season this evolution towards like, can this deck actually work? We're going to get Fantomex first. I'm not actually 100% sure of when the timelines for this new mode is going to be. I wonder how long we'll have to wait before we get Wild Child alongside. No, we should have Fantomex because it's on December 30th. I believe the new mode is around like the holidays. So we might actually have Wild Child first, and then we're going to get Fantomex. So to be honest with you, the timing might work perfectly where we get Fantomex and then we have the tools we need to try to see if this deck works. It might actually be true that way. I almost positive it is. We have to double check the dates maybe in a future episode. But I believe the intention was that Team Clash was supposed to be during the holiday season, which is cool. So I agree with you. I'm not as high. I'm going to go 3 just because I feel like it's a lot of hoops still. 2-5 is still good. But like if you're playing discard, you're going to play Morbius. Morbius doesn't get cut here. You also have the Power Zombie Man, which is solid and has been pretty good in discard. I don't think that could get cut for this. Maybe, but it is already a 2-4 naturally. So this is 1 extra power in there unless you're destroying a card. I don't think it replaces Wolverine and Destroy. I think it's strictly dependent on whether or not that hybrid deck pops off, right? But you can't deny the power. You really can't. And as you said before, here ongoing is a superpower because it comes down and it has that inherent power. It doesn't have to be on the board. It doesn't have to be face up. It just gives you an option late in the game. So I can see it overperforming 3 stars, but I'm a little hesitant because I think it's a little too dependent on a deck we have too many question marks about.
Yeah. The other synergy I see with it, 2-cost ongoing, Moonstone. Moonstone doesn't hate getting an extra +8 power.
It's true. So,
I mean, again, that's if you're playing a Moonstone, you are slowing down your ability to get a discard and a destroy. But I think those hybrid decks are not going to be doing a ton of destroying and a ton of discarding. You're just gonna try to get 1 or 2 of each.
Could this go in an Aurora Thanos deck? Because think about it, you could like it's ongoing. What are you discarding? You could destroy Thanos stones, but I don't think you're discarding them. Like, I don't know what that plan would look like.
Yeah, you don't want to be doing discarding or destroying if you're trying to get bodies on the board.
Never mind. That was a bad idea. But you know what's a good idea? Talking about the Snapchat mailbag. And if you have questions, definitely let us know down below. Throw some questions at us. We got some mailbag content to throw at your way. Because we do have a question. It's not really a question. It's more of a statement. And I wanted to talk about it because I actually found the same thing happening. Fuzzy Otterpaws, which is a great name, by the way, stated, speaking of Deafening Chord, I made a deck myself with all skills, minus Clea and Ancient Ones since I don't have them, and Nicholas Scratch along with Professor X and Werewolf, and Debris and Rhino for Merlin. I win so many games and it's just so fun. I love that deck now. The reason why I bring this up, Lauren, is because I actually was playing some Nicholas Scratch last week. And I think that skills have come a long way. And I think that overall, they're becoming increasingly more playable. And I was regularly getting Nicholas Scratch to like 8-9 power because I was playing so many skills. And yeah, when you have the Merlins and stuff like that, like there's a lot of options. I'm just kind of thinking about whether or not skills have like hit that inflection point where they don't feel like they're compromising what your deck is trying to do. Like Deafening Chord, I think, is an excellent skill. And now we're getting more skills. We're getting 2 of them. Fastball Special, which is your card of the month. And we have Adamantium Infusion, which is a super premium season pass card. So we have 2 skills which are occupying very important slots in a month's release. So I guess my question to you is, how far have skills come and how much further do you think they can go?
I mean, how much further can they go? We are not far away from being able to make an entire deck of 12 skills. That deck is going to be terrible, but like that's coming soon. I think there are 3 skills in January. They are going to keep giving us those. Yeah, the deck is strong. Nicholas Scratch is the obvious synergy with skills, right? It's right there in the text. But then you have things like Zombie Scarlet Witch and Werewolf that have such high synergy with cards that don't leave bodies on the board. Yeah, cheap skills are here to stay. Forever. They're always going to be good because of the little things they can do, even if their ability is not super good. Just being a cheap card that doesn't take up space has natural synergy with other parts of the game.
especially in a game like Marvel Snap, where you literally only have 12 slots. Like, there's only 12 spots on the board that you can play. Like, ask move players who are dealing with debris, throwing rocks over and everything like that, right? Did that change the debris? It opened up a lot of options for move players because space is so vital. I'm still looking forward to that multiple man deck, a multiple man zoo style move deck. I mean, the only place we see multiple man is in Phoenix Force, really. I would like to see Phoenix Force make a massive comeback, by the way. That's one archetype that I played for so long. I love it so much, and it's just I kind of feel like it's fallen out of the zeitgeist. Like, people aren't thinking about Phoenix Force. You should be thinking about Phoenix Force, and maybe I'll cook something. Maybe I will. Who knows? But before then, Lauren, thank you so much for joining us this week. You've been a tremendous asset. I think your analysis was absolutely incredible, and you continue to do amazing work in the Marvel Snap community. And I implore you guys out there to find Lauren, follow Lauren, and obviously got to stay up to date with the new site you're working on. So why don't you let us know where we can find you and what's coming next?
Yeah, thanks again for having me. It's such a treat. You can find me on Twitter or Blue Sky if you want to avoid the Hell's Fight. LaurenWhatevs. I write every now and then at Marvel Snap Zone. It's been a while, and I don't know if I'm going to again. But I'm still technically, a writer there. I could create an article. That is where I will announce on Twitter or Blue Sky is where I will announce when Fourth Location is live and ready to go. And then after that, you can just go to fourthlocation.com. And then finally, my podcast is on YouTube or on all the podcatchers as Snap on This. We have a good time. The first half of the show is kind of serious Snap Talk, where we do things like rating cards. And then the back half of the show, we have secret homework every episode, which is just challenges that we give to each other.
That's awesome. Absolutely. And I'll leave links in the description down below for everything. So be sure to check them out. And again, Lauren, thank you so much for joining us. And thank you guys for joining us. We'll see you on the next one.